Last time I did not do that, and I was so upset. I was so upset because drop some ones in the chat if it was on my last training I did about pivots. I was in front of sumo. I was in front of sumo. That joke was lit, right? That joke was lit. I started to eat a shrimp, but I'm not gonna do that on camera. But that thing was super lit, and I was so upset because everybody was asking me for the recording, and there was no recording. So this time there is going to be a recording, and I made sure that I recorded it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna make sure that I'm double. I'm double. No, that takes too long. But we on the recording now. If you do not know who I am, my name is Marquise Finch. I'm a Platinum 1000 within the space. Tonight, we are going to be going over pivots, which is something that I was sleep on for a minute. I was sleep on this for a minute, but excuse me, I got curious one day and I went ahead and I explored the world of pivots, and I have never been the same. So that's what we're about to do today. We about to go over pivots. You excited to go over pivots? Are you excited? Are you excited to learn how to make some money? I I I don't know, because I mean y'all kind of I don't know. Y'all kind of unseasoned. Y'all kind of dry. Locked in. Who's excited, bro? Like y'all not happy. Y'all not just. Y'all not happy. Y'all not excited. Cause I feel like we always talk about the same stuff, but we talking about pivots today. We talking about pivots. Now I see y'all. Now I see y'all. Now I see y'all. Shout out to y'all, man. But there's a couple things that we got to go over before we go directly into pivots. And I kind of go over this now on whenever I talk about certain strategies, those being Liberty, pivots, and anything related to FRX. I go over this. And it's, mind you, this is not the complete, version of this. You want to check more out, MediQ got some fire market structure trainings, got some fire stuff. Bounce Back has some fire stuff. But I'll be going over just a snippet of what I feel is important as it pertains to market structure. And market structure is something that is essential. You cannot trade without market structure. Where my experienced traders at? Where my experienced traders at? If you're an experienced trader, go ahead and drop a 2 in the chat. Go ahead and drop a 2 in the chat box. If you're an experienced trader, cool. That's it. That's 2. I'm a count. That's 2. I got 2 2s in the chat. If you're not an experienced trader, I'm gonna make you one today. All right, because it's too much money going around here for you not to have none. Where did I hear that from? I think it was Justin Owens. Somebody. But 2 2s, I bet. That means y'all better bust out the pen and pad. Y'all better bust out the pen and pad. Because today makes the day that you know what you're doing. And I'm gonna make sure of that. So this is gonna be very interactive. Shout out to 30 people on the call. It's gonna be very interactive. I'm gonna be asking questions and making sure y'all get this. And if y'all don't have the pivots upgrade, $22 for pivots, man, yeah, y'all gonna see. So first thing I'm gonna do is pull up the whiteboard. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to pull up the whiteboard. Whiteboard, cool. You can see my whiteboard. If you can hear me, if you're ready to rock and roll, drop a number 5 in the chat. I'm gonna bring y'all to the second screen so that we cool. Everything's copacetic. I like y'all's energy now. That deserves a Shasta. All right. So first thing we want to talk about, like I said, is going to be market structure. All right. So the first thing, market structure, that you need to know, or that I'm going to point out, is SRTs. Now, if you know, no, I'm not talking about, Hellcats. I'm not talking about that. I don't even think that's called an SRT. Is it called an SRT? I think it is. But I'm not talking about the car. I'm talking about trading. Now, if you've been on Millie Mills, you kind of already know what this is, but I just want to emphasize this because this product that we're going to be going over today deals heavily. And I mean, that's almost the whole product is SRTs. And that's why I like it. It's very versatile. It's very simple to understand. And yeah. So we're gonna go over SRTs. What are SRTs? You have support, you have resistance, trend lines. That's what SRTs. That's what that means. But more importantly, we're gonna go over support and resistance. All right. So I'm gonna minimize this. And I'm gonna get this blue. I'm gonna draw a line. This blue line represents yours. I'll draw it out in a second. All right. This is for the sake of this example. It's not always going to look like this. And I'll get into more in depth with that in a second. Boom. So let's say this is the market. All right. So if you see the market, it's just doing the market. It's just looking all crazy. But if you notice, if I drew a line, not this. If I drew a line like this, the market doesn't really follow that. Or if I drew a line like this, the market really doesn't follow that. However, if I draw a line going straight across, then the market kind of follows that. It really doesn't go, upwards generally. It really doesn't go downwards generally. It just goes side to side. That is, I kind of want to, hit on that a little bit. That is what's called, I don't know, I'm not gonna get into that. But it just kind of goes side to side. But more importantly, it stays between 2 points. This red line right here and this blue line right here. Now, this red line right here, this is called your resistance. And your resistance just, it price being the market, which is the black line, it wants to keep going up. But once it hits that red line, it just bounces off. It goes down, goes down. It may go over a little bit, but it always finds its way back down. And it keeps doing that. Now, vice versa on the other end. Now, this one right here is called your support. Now, your support is just, the same thing. The market wants to keep going down, but once it hits that line, it just bounces back up. It may go over a little bit, but it always finds its way back. That is called your support, your resistance. Think of like a ceiling and a floor. Imagine I got a trampoline above me right here. If I jump up, my head is gonna hit the trampoline and I'm gonna bounce back down. And let's say on the ground, I have another trampoline. I hit the trampoline, and guess what? I'm gonna bounce back up. It's the same thing with your support and resistance. That's the beginning stages of market structure, and that is the basis of this strategy right here. Kind of want to go over that first. Next thing we're gonna go over is candle structure. What I mean by candle structure is just how they work with SRTs. How candles work with SRTs. Now, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Let's take this is I'm not gonna color code it. Let's say this is just a specific point in the market. This is just a specific point in the market. And let's say that I have a blue candle. My blue candle is, candling. It's just moving up and down, up and down, up and down. But before I go into that, I gotta go into this. The anatomy of a candle. All right. All right. So, all right. So I gotta go into this for a little bit. So that way you know different terminology and such. All right. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna label these and then I'll describe what they mean. All right. So let's go from top to bottom. This little line thing is called a wick. A wick just basically means that at some point in time, this blue candle was all the way up here. And then price came back down and closed at this particular point. That's what a wick is. Has little to no significance outside of that. It's just when I say these things, I want you to know what they mean. Now, close. Now, this is a blue candle. Blue candles are meant to go up. So this is the close of the blue candle. It's just this point right here. So when I say, oh, this candle closed, that means I'm talking about this part. This is the body of the candle, basically just self-explanatory. And this is the open of the candle. Just said blue candles are meant to go up. That's why this is the open of the candle and it's just going up. And it also means that this is a flat bottom candle. Now, a flat bottom candle is associated with the blue candle. You will never find a flat bottom red candle. Never. So you need to you need to understand that flat bottom goes with a blue candle. And that just means that the opposite party has zero power at that moment. So you have blue, you have red. Blue means buy, red means sell. So if I have a flat bottom blue candle, that means that the sellers have no power at that particular moment. And in buying scenarios, that's good for you. Let's go over this again. Wick, close, body, open of the candle, which is also a flat bottom candle. All right. Same thing goes for a red candle. So I'm gonna kind of rearrange this. Let me see if I can make this a different color. Nope. That's the go. All right. Now I can draw this stuff. All right. Why would it draw a line? Let me just get rid of this. Make it harder on myself. All right. So same thing applies, just in a kind of different order for a red candle. So top to bottom again. Since red candles are meant to go down, that's why this is the open. But this is also, let me change this too. This is a flat top candle. Flat top candles are associated with red candles, and it's basically the same thing as a flat bottom, except that means that, in this particular scenario, buyers have no power at that particular moment. And in selling scenarios, that's good for you. Next, the body of the candle. This is the close of the candle because, the red candles are meant to go down. So where this ends, where the body ends, right here is the close of the candle. Now this wick, same thing as the blue. That means this candle was down here and it came up to where it closed, creating this wick. So if candle anatomy and SRTs make sense, go ahead and drop a 5 in the chat box. Or do y'all need me to repeat anything? Because I know I move kind of pretty fast. All right, cool. Cool. We good. Move all of this out the way. All right, cool. All right, now candles. We're gonna go start with the blue one. Let me get some, and I'm gonna just take a picture. I'm gonna write your name down, and I'm gonna find you on Telegram, and then I'll send you the recording. But I'm gonna go over here to the candle. You straight. I understand. We're gonna go to a blue candle. All right. So if I have a blue candle, this is candle structure. If I have a blue candle and I'm looking at it and it's just doing what candles do, it's just go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But let's say there's 2 seconds left in the candle, and this black line is a point in structure, just a key level in the market. If this blue candle closes above this line, let's say that, no, I'm not gonna confuse y'all. But let's say that this is, this candle closes above this particular line, the next candle is going to open above that line. Say less, I got y'all. So again, if this candle right here closes above this point in structure, this line right here, the next candle is going to open above that line. These are just key tips that's going to help you. Now, vice versa. Let me shorten this line. Vice versa. If I have a line and I have a red candle. Let's say I have a red candle. Let's say this candle closes above this line. The next candle is going to open above the line. Does everybody understand that? If I have a candle and it closes above a particular point in structure, the next candle is going to open above that particular point in structure. However, if I have a candle and it closes above, if it closes above the point of structure, the next candle is going to open above the point of structure. I guess I kind of said above twice, but y'all can kind of see the scenario. This one closes above going in the buying direction. This one closes above going in the selling direction. I guess I could do all of them. Just for the sake of it, I could do all of them. So let me go ahead and go into this. This is above, and then I'll do below. I'll do a blue candle. All right. So let's say I have a blue candle right here. It closes below the line. The next candle is going to open below the line. Then the next one, line, black. Then let's say I have another red candle. All right. So let's say this one right here, this red candle closes below this point of structure. The next candle is going to open below that point of structure. So if you haven't noticed, these two go together. These two go together. And these two go together. I'm going to kind of make this symmetrical. All right. Cool. So these two go together. If a blue candle closes above this point of structure, the next candle is going to open above the structure. If a red candle closes below a point of structure, the next one is going to open below. If this blue candle closes below the line, the next candle is open below the line. If this candle closes above the line, then the next candle is going to open above the line. So these two are above, these two are below, just in different directions. I hope that makes sense. Because this is really going to help you. Matter of fact, I'll do this. I'm going to take a screenshot. Oh. Go ahead and ask your question while I put this in the chat. All right, so I'm going to stop screen. Yeah, go ahead and ask your question while I put this in here. All right, where's EE Zoom? Picture. Screenshot. All right. All right. Cool. Yeah, either or. It could be the support or the resistance line, either or. That's why I typically stay away from saying support and resistance. I just say point and structure because it could be either or. So if you really dive into support or resistance, you know that at one point it could be a support, but at another spot it could be a resistance, and vice versa. At one point it could be a resistance, and at another point it'll be a support, especially in the case of trends. So that's why I tend to say point and structure more than support and resistance, because point and structure is support or resistance. It's just a matter of which one you're talking about at that particular moment. But does that make sense? Does market structure, candle structure, candle anatomy, all of that, does that make sense? Go ahead and drop a 5 so that we can get into pivots. Cool. This is what I've been waiting on. This is what I've been waiting on. Let me go ahead and pull it up. All right. I'm going to share. What's up, Alvin? What's good? Wow. Let me go ahead and bring y'all back. No, this ain't the right one. It is, where is it? Pivots. All right. Let me go ahead and bring y'all back to the other screen, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. Chat. All right. Participants, chat. All right. Cool. So this is pivots. So pivots, I and this is my point of view, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why it's my point of view too. I really like pivots because one is very versatile. And when I've been, because I'm an IBO too, so when I study other people's organizations, and really the people that have the best trading culture, they're versatile. Whether they're versatile in the product or they're versatile in the system in general. So what I mean by that, it is that they're either very versatile as to they they have a lot of different products that they go over. They're versatile that way, or they have one particular product that is so versatile that new students can come on and be able to be profitable at a high rate, and they have room to grow through the intermediate and advanced levels. And I particularly like the latter because, granted, you can be very versatile in a lot of different products, but that's also a lot of different stuff that you have to know. And, everybody is not going to come in with the elite pack. Everybody is not going to come in with, buying multiple add-ons. So as a business owner, you can have one product that has the capability to be both beginner friendly all the way through advanced friendly. And that's what I like, because I like to trade, but I don't like to trade often. And when I trade, I want to be able to get on a platform where I can trade how I want, when I want, for however long I want, trading what I want to. And that's what Pivots provides. So, excuse me. Now, you can trade this on FRX and you can trade this on HFX. That's off the rip versatile. Two, you can trade almost anything on here. You have regular FRX pairs, you have metals, so you have gold and silver. Has my favorite pair, gold, on here. I mean, not gold, silver. It has what is this? Oils, crypto, and then you have your indexes. So you can trade almost anything on here, and it's all on the same platform. Now, there are a few different strategies with pivots that already come in. You have strategy 1, strategy 2, last, and last scalper. So for this, I'm going to focus more on last, even though that they're all pretty much the same. It's just that strategy 1 has volume here at the end. Strategy 2 has it's more of like a buy limit, sell limit, buy stop, sell stop. So pending orders. So, she'll send pending orders or it'll come up with pending orders and you can just input those in that way. But when you get into last, this is where the money is. You have last and the last scalper. Hold on, let me take this right quick. I know I have to. All right. So we get into last. Your last is going to be, most similar to what you've seen already, and is going to be the most versatile. All right, bet. Cool, 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 cool. So let's get into it. Let's get into how it works first. Let's get into how it works. So, like I said, you can trade anything you can trade anything, Forex, metals, indices, whatever. However, you have right here, you have oils and indices on the last. You have to go back to strategy 1 in order to have Bitcoin and different crypto. And it's relatively easy to trade, but once I go over the different pivot levels, it's going to be a little bit easier. So let's go back to last. And last is the same as last scalper, except last scalper is more for quick trading. So I'll show you last scalper. It's the same, but this one, see, it's a 1 minute time frame. See, got 2 arrows, overbought, 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 and then it sold off. So it's basically the same except for HFX. We're gonna go over the last right quick. So you know you can trade anything on here. You have the 15 all the way up to the monthly. Now that's crazy. I've never seen a strategy with the monthly time frame besides like higher. They're meant for longer term trades. So let's get into what these are. So these little things over here, move the market out the way. All right, not what I wanted. No, I gotta be careful about that too. I've done that a couple times already. I moved the last. Not the, yeah, I moved the little level thing. I not even do that. But these different things are basically your support and resistance marked up for you. So if you notice that there are some R's and there's some S's, your R's are your resistances. Your S's are your supports. Now this P4 right here, this is your pivot level. Now, these 1, 2, 3s are your extensions. Hold up, let me make sure I get this right. All right. So you see +1, +2, +3, then -1, -2, -3. This is your extension. So it could go, below this. But this is going to make sense when I say this. The trading range and pivots. That means, because I got to backtrack for that one. So when I say versatile, me, myself, I like to trade the whole move and everything in between. Some people, they like to trade the in between. Some people like to trade just the whole trade. I like to trade the whole move and everything in between. And that's why I like pivot so much, because it's that versatile. So in order for you to catch the whole move, this is what you have to do. You have to trade within the trading range. Your trading range just means from the top to the bottom. And I'll show you that right now. So the top up here, bottom down here. Now you can see this by some of these on the right. So I told you the R's are your resistance, the S is your support, the P is the pivot level. But right here, there's R8, and then there's S0. R8 and S0 are your trading ranges. That just means that that's going to be the top is R8 and the bottom is going to be S0. Anything above that is going to be your +1, +2, +3, -1, -2, -3. So that's the whole thing with pivots. So that's probably the hardest part about this is just figuring out what the trading range is and where the market is in comparison to that. So me, myself, I want to be trading between R8 and S0. That's the complete trading range. And everything in between will be these R8s and through the S1s. So R7, R5, S2, those things. And what we mentioned about candle structure and closing above this and closing below that, that is going to be key in this market, because those lines that I was talking about are these pivot levels. So if a candle closes above a pivot level, the next candle is going to open above the pivot level. Vice versa. If a candle closes below the pivot level, it's going to open below the pivot level. Now I'll give you some examples. This one right here. If we take this green candle right here. This green candle closed above this pivot level. So the next candle opened above the pivot level. Look at this one. This red candle closed below the pivot level. The next one opened below the pivot level. This one closed below the pivot level and below this pivot level. So the next candle opened below this pivot level. But guess what? This candle opened above, closed above the pivot level. So the next one opened. So you see how that kind of plays a part in the strategy that we're about to go over. Now, let's talk about these lines. These lines right here are moving averages. And you can see them especially in this one right here, strategy 1, because I have them labeled. EMA, exponential moving average. We have the green one on there. The green one is the 50. What other one do we have on there? It's a different color. Green and red. So the red is the 200 and the green is the 50. And then if you really want to, you don't have to. You can add an indicator on here called MA cross, or you could do EMA cross. That's a better one. EMA cross. And then in order for you to see it, you have to go to your settings. They don't have settings on here. All right. So no, not that. Okay, you have to try to click on the this is so. It's not letting me. All right. Let's see. I guess not. Let's see about this. Settings. All right. No. I didn't want to have to go indicator titles. So you go to indicator titles down here. And you see you have your EMA, your 50 and your 200. Yeah, red is 200, green is 50. And then you have to cross your short. Let's see if this works. I think that worked. I think that worked. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think I got. All right, cool. So now that we have that set up, now if you don't know what I just did, I added the indicator, but it doesn't have settings over here, so I have to go down, and I have to do it the hard way. Settings, scales. No, I was status line. Status line, indicator titles, and then it'll pull up the indicator titles, and then you go to the setting on the indicator, EMA cross. And then the short one is gonna be the green one, which is 50. The long one is 200, which is the red one. And then you wanna come over here and you wanna make your crosses distinctive. So I'm gonna make this, black and thick. All right. Now my crosses are gonna be on the screen. All right. So whenever these cross, is gonna be on here. So whenever they cross, and I'm gonna bring this to the top. How I do that is I click the 3 dots, visual order, bring to front, and then it's gonna put it on the top. So what this means is that, excuse me, when they cross, the trend is changing. So you see down here, Down here, it crossed, that means uptrend. Down here, they crossed, that means downtrend. It's just an extra confirmation. This one, they crossed uptrend. All right. So now that we went through that, now that we went through the pivot levels, let's go through these down here. Purple Mountain and your two stochastics. Kind of like the divergent indicator, kind of. But what you want to go through is these down here, because these are going to be pretty key in, you know, your entries. And there's also going to be another one on strategy 1. You can use strategy 1 for no, not it. But soon on this one, you're gonna have another one of these. Is gonna be 4, and it's gonna be yellow, like a bright yellow, and that one is gonna be better for scalping. Let's see if they add it on here. Yeah, they added it on this one, but not the other one. It's gonna look like this, and this one is better for scalping. We'll go over that in a minute. So now that we're gonna go through this briefly, because they all mean the same thing. When it gets to this top, overbought. That means it needs to sell soon. Down here, oversold, needs to buy soon. And the same thing goes down here. Overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold. When all three match up, you could get ready for it to go in the opposite direction. And then you also have these arrows right here as well. So let's talk about how to get to the market. Let's talk about AUD CAD. So, one, the first place I would look to get into the market is either at the R8 or the S0. If it's not in any of those zones, look where it is in comparison to that. So let's look at AUD CAD right here. Oh, I don't want none of that. So you see, the last time it was at R8 was way over here. Last time it was at, you know, close to S0 was way down here. So we're like right in the middle. Now, for my beginners, it'll be best for you to trade between the pivot points, which are these lines right here. And I'll go over that. So if we know that these are support and resistances, let's say this is R5 right here. We come down, let's say we're right here. We look right here, we're saying, okay, we could possibly sell right here. Now, you look at this, it's overbought. This one, not quite, but kind of overbought. This one is definitely overbought. So you could have sold. You could have sold temporarily. Now, I'm not saying go ahead and do that because this was a whole bunch of craziness. But what I want you to look at is these distinctive moves right here. When it comes up and you get arrows. When you come up, you get arrows. That means it's definitely about to do something. So look, overbought. This one is not quite, but kind of overbought. I don't want that. This one was definitely overbought. And then guess what happened? Came down, you sold this. Same thing right here. This one was overbought kind of. You could have sold it to the next pivot level. Now let's talk about how that would have affected you. Right here, from here to here is about 14 pips. If you don't know what a pip is, it's like a unit of measure. So that would have been a quick 14 pips. And how long? 3 hours. That's not bad. And if you would have did the same thing right here, look, boom, take profit. This was the weekend, but look right here. You would have looked for this pivot level right here. Now, I will say this. When you're at the P4, this pivot level, you're always going to have a bunch of traffic. So I kind of stick away. I kind of, stay away from that one. But it's important when you're taking larger scale trades. Like if you're taking, this trade right here all the way down here or something, that would have been different. And this would have been a key factor. Or if you would have taken this trade and sold it, that would have been different. But if you're a beginner and you're trading between the pivot levels, then you want to stay away from P4. But all these other ones are good because they typically go like just regular support or resistance. So boom, bounce, boom, bounce, boom. And then in these scenarios, you know whether to get back into the market by what we talked about earlier. So yes, this red candle closed below. So this one's going to open below. And then look, you could have did something like this. Closed, open. You could have taken a trade off of this resistance to this support. And vice versa. Now, if you're like me, you like taking the whole position, you have to add a little bit into it. And here's what I mean by that. You can go on a small scale, you can go on a big scale. And we're going to use our fib. Fib retracement right here. You want to go from the top of it to the bottom. And I'm gonna make sure I go all the way to the bottom. I just want to kind of move this out the way. And you want to make sure this is pretty precise. I'm gonna do it to the bottom of the candle. And then this is not what I wanted. Yes, it is. All right, so I'll make sure I'm at the top. Up here. And I'll kind of line it up with this P4 right here. So if I'm trading P4 all the way to the bottom down here, and I'm looking to, trade within this, what I'm looking for is the 618 and this right here. I'm gonna add it in here. .115. That's gonna be down here. So in theory, you could get rid of all the rest of this too, if you really wanted to. So all of this 2.32. I like the 38, 785, 618, the 1 and the 0. All this extra stuff you don't really need. 0, 1, 0.38, 0.61, 618, 786. That's a big one. I have 618 twice. Oh, because it's an extension. All right, so you can leave these the way that they are. All right. Cool. Now we got it. All right. So I hope y'all wrote those those fib levels down. So if I'm trading between P4 and all the way at the bottom, I'm looking for this market to come up to the 618. And it's almost crazy how accurate pivots is because look at where the 618 is and look at where this line is, C3. It's crazy. So, and it already kind of came up there. Excuse me. It came up there, but what I'm looking for is I'm looking for this to come up to the 618, and I want the candles to come to the 618. And this is where I'll go kind of back to what I was talking about candles, because this is a wick. I want the candle itself to come up to the 618 level. Once I know that that candle is going to come to the 618 level, I am going to take a sell position. All right, long means buy, sell means short. So in this case, I'll do short 618. Now, pivot levels typically don't go all that far. So I'll have my stop loss just above the 786. And my take profit is going to be the 0.115. Take profit 1 is going to be about 20 pips. The next one I would do is the 0 right here. So that's how I would do that. But right now, here's what I want y'all to do. If y'all have any questions, drop them in the chat. Drop any questions in the chat, because I'm about to move on and I'm about to move pretty fast. All right. So what I mean by 618, 115, I'm not gonna go into the technical definitions, but these are going to be your very, 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 very key levels. That's why I got rid of a lot of them, because the ones that really matter are the ones that are right here. So the 786, the 618, the 0.5, 382 isn't really important. So I can get rid of that. But 786, 618, 0.5, 0.115, and 0 are going to be your major ones. Your major, major, major reversal points. Major reversal points. All fib levels have some sort of significance, but these are the major ones. And in pivots, you want to focus on the 618 and a 0.115, because these are typically going to line up with what pivots tells you. And whenever pivots and the fib matches up, that's how you know your trade is going to be valid. And this is how I know that this trade that I just said is going to be pretty valid, because guess what? Granted, I'm trading from P4 to S0, and it went down to S0, and it's going to look to come back to P4. But before it does that, I need it to come to the 618, which is a key level. And it just so happens that the 618 is right here by the S3, which is what pivots tells you. Now, you notice that it still has a little bit to go. It still has a little bit to go before hitting this 618 S3 level, and it shows right here. So these right here are going to be your key factors, your stochastics and your purple mountains. So it's not quite overbought yet, but it's getting to that point. But with pivots, you don't necessarily want to take a trade when it's overbought. You want to take the trade when it's overbought coming down. So I'm going to show you right here. So you know how this one is coming up, and it's coming up and it's turning down? You want to take that trade as it's coming down, not when it comes up. Where did you position your fib? Okay, I'll show y'all. So I position my fib from top to bottom or from bottom to top. It just depends on where you're trading. So if you're trading going in the upwards direction, you want to trade from top to bottom. If you're trading going in the selling direction, Actually, I got mine backwards, but I kind of want it to look like this so that the extensions aren't in the way. But if you're trading from, if you're buying, you want to flip flop it. So I'm gonna do it again. So I grab my fib over here, and if I really wanted to, because they have extensions on here, so I could go from this bottom to the top, and my extensions are gonna be down here. Oh no, I got rid of all my extensions, so I guess it's okay. So look, top down here to the bottom down here. I don't really want to get y'all with the whole extensions thing because that's more. I want you to focus on the 618 and the 0.115. So, boom, it's coming up to the 618. I take a sell right here to the 0.115. Then guess what? I do the same thing again. 618 is right there by S3. So I would do the same thing. I would take the 0.115 right there with the S3, and I'll do the same exact thing. And it'll just keep getting, it'll just keep playing into the bigger position. Now let's talk about the big boy trades. The big boy trades is like this. Get rid of all these arrows too. Like they have so many arrows on here, it's crazy. But you know, it didn't quite get to S0, but we're gonna go to S1. So we're gonna go up here, all the way down here. All right. So this trading range right here is 112 pips. So I would have caught this up here, all the way down here, got out, and then traded everything in between here, and then looking to trade everything going up. So let's talk about it. So the same rule applies whether you're looking at this. Are there any numbers beside the fib, your entry points? Yeah, there's numbers beside. What are you referring to? All are the numbers besides the fib your entry points. They could be. I'll go more into detail with that when we talk about actually how to enter off of your fib. Okay, but you're onto something. Yeah, they play a role in that. Actually, you are right about that. To be honest. So, like I said, you want the market to come down to the 0.115, which it did. Smash and take profit. Now, what we look at is for it to come back to the 618. We look at the market to come back to the 618, which it actually did. So it played out already. But you can kind of see where I'm going with this. I'm going to expand it outwards. All right. So typically what you want to see in a trading range is for it to go like this. Go from the top to the 0.115, from the 0.115 to the 618, back to the 0.115, back to the 618. That's what you want to see. And then you want to see it bounce off from the 618 to the 0.115 until it breaks through. And when it breaks through, my next point of interest will be either this 0.786 or the 0. That's kind of what I want to see. But most of the time, you're going to be trading, 618 to 0.115 and everything in between. So look, watch this. If I go all the way from when it changed, when the trend changed, let's say I go from here to here. Let's say I go from here to here. All right. So it went from the top. We're from the top all the way to the 0.115. Went from the 0.115 to the 618. It broke through the 618. Next point of interest is the 786. Once it gets through this zone, I'm looking for it to come back to the 0.115, which it did. Goes from the 0.115 back to the 618. It kind of faked you out a little bit right here, but we're looking at grand scheme of things, not necessarily, minute things. Because, I'm pretty sure there was some sign to tell you this was not going to the 618. And I'm pretty sure it's this right here. But you want this to come from the 0.115. It broke through the 0.115. Guess what? Next point of interest is a 0. Came through. I want to see it go back to the 618. If it doesn't, you could take profit somewhere in these levels. And I'm going to mark it so that way we can look and see what happened and why it didn't go to the 618. I'm going to do smiley faces today. All right. So I got that marked. 0 back to the 618. Did it get to the 618 to right here? And guess what? I'm looking for it to come down to the 0.115. It kind of played with you a little bit. But eventually it came back down to the 0.115. Broke through the 0.115. Next interest is a 0. If it breaks past the 0, there are some extensions, but I don't worry myself with extensions. I will just wait until the market comes back to where I am. Guess what? It came back to where I was, but it didn't quite get to the 618. So I was waiting for it to get back to the 618, and it didn't do it until up here. Went from the 618, came all the way back to the 0.115. Now I'm looking for it to get back to the 618. So eventually it's going to come all the way back up here. Eventually. That's the big boy trades. That's the big swings. That's over 50 pips, over 70 pips. Look at this. That's 100 pips from here to here. Boom. That's 75, 80 pips almost. And when it comes back up here, we know that it's going to do something like this. It's going to do something like this. Boom. It's going to come to this level right here. I'm going to make this thicker. So boom. I'm going to lock it. Boom. It's going to do something like this. Come back. And boom. It's going to break out something like this. Come back. Boom. Then it's going to come back to the R8 somewhere. Then it's going to melt. And that's why I like this, is because I could do this. Because I could do this. We can have this conversation right now without hopping to another product. That's why I like pivots. Is because I could go through it and I can take the baby trades, I can take the beginner trades, and I can take the big boy trades on here. And I could trade like a trader. I can talk about this stuff and it actually makes sense. And I don't have to hop from product to product just to do what I want. So I can come in here and I can say, you know what? I can come in here and I can take these trades down here. I can, hit a couple take profits, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can hit 4 take profits. I can do this stuff for a while. Then I can start taking the intermediate trades. I can start trading between 2 pivot levels. If I trade between 2 pivot levels, you know, that may be about 20, 25 pips, somewhere around there. Look, 30 pips. Do that for a few more times. Then I can start trading, you know, different ranges. I can start trading from P4 to S0. That's about 40, 45 pips. Look at that. That's almost 60 pips. But in this trading range, it hit about 50 something. Then you take a few more of those trades. You take a big boy trades. You can now trade this type of stuff. You can trade this stuff like this, 100 pips here. And you know how to trade in between pivot levels now. So you could have took 100 pips here. Then guess what? 30 pips here. Then guess what? Excuse me. What is that? 44 pips here. This is around P4, S3, so it's a lot of traffic. But boom, you come down here, 55 pips. That's what? 90, 130. 130 plus 111, you don't caught almost 250 pips already. And guess what? You trade this range right here. That's another 60 on top of that. So you don't caught 300 pips off of a 100 pip move. I hope that made sense. You caught 300 plus pips on a 100 pip move because you went from beginner to intermediate to advanced. So like this right here, all of this fib, all of this, you know, close this, open this, you know, close, open, you know, it's gonna come up here, come up there. That's advanced stuff. It's gonna, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna take you a minute, but pivots just made it easy. Because all you need to know is market structure, candle structure, and Fibonacci levels. If you know those 3 things, you can make a lot of money off pivots. The only reason why a lot of people don't know about it is because a lot of people don't want to get into market structure, candle structure, and Fibonacci. Because they think it's up here when it really is simple. It's simple. And this is just FRX. This is just Forex. Don't let me get into silver. Silver is, Look at this. I go into silver. The same thing applies. The same rules, the same everything. Look, on Forex, you was trading in between one pivot level. You trade one pivot level on silver. You go from making 20 pips to 100 pips. You go from trading one trading range with 20 pips to one pivot level to 100 pips. And the same rules apply. So guess what? I can come up here. Not what I wanted to do. All right, so I can come up to here. And guess what? I could do this. I could do the same process. I could do this little intermediate trade right here between R8 and S2. Guess what? I go grab my fib. Where is it at? I go grab my fib, go from top R8 to S2 on the bottom. The same rules apply. Comes down. I want it to touch. Where's my 618? Oh, these are different. Let me go redo this. All right. 236, 32. So anything above 1 is an extension. And I think there's 3 of them. And then if I come down here, I'll do 1 and I'll empty it out. 0.115. Boom, that should fix it. All right, so boom. I want it to come down. I want it to hit my 0.115, which it did. and I want it to make its way back to the 618, which it is. How do I know that? Because it has a little bit to go. Then look at where my other indicators are. They're not quite overbought, but they're getting there. And I can almost guarantee, and look where it is. 618 lines up perfectly with R6. Lines up perfect. So guess what? Once it gets to R6, everything is going to line up, and I'm going to sell until it goes to 0.115. Then guess what? If I knew that it's going to come from 0.115 to 618, I could buy from 0.115 to 618. And instead of making, 40, 50 pips, you just made 300. And guess what? Instead of making 100 pips on this range right here, you just made, hold up, 500 on this little baby range. That's not all the way from R8 to S0. Imagine how many pips you're missing right here. It's like 200, 300 pips. Once you get the basics of the market structure, candle structure, and fib, and look, this counts for, oil. Sometimes I like US oil. It be playing with me sometimes. But the same rule applies. You go from top to the bottom. I can guarantee you this is the 618 over here. Let's see if I'm right. Top to bottom, boom, 618. And guess what it lines up perfectly with? P4. And what is P4? A pivot level. Once you get that, trading pivots is so easy. Indices. Some of y'all like trading, DXY. DXY is the dollar. NAS 100, SPX 500, German 30. Easy. This was on an uptrend, heavy uptrend. Oh, look. This is actually at a good spot right now, surprisingly. You go from the bottom, S0, to the top. Boom. Look where it came to. Where's my... I don't want to have to keep doing that. But it's going to come down to my 0.115 right here, and it could go back up. That's probably what it's going to do since it's an uptrend. But 0.115, skyrocket. Or it could come down here to the 618, skyrocket. I like it coming all the way down here, though. See, I like this because it's a turnaround, and it gave me the arrows. So I know that it's going to melt. This is overbought, overbought, overbought. So I like it coming down to the 618 to down here, and then taking a buy up. SPX moves like NAS, so I can kind of see it doing the same thing. US 30. We could do this little miniature one right here. Boom, bottom to top. Oh wait, no, this is the top. This is the top. Boom, bottom to top. Came back to 618. Started playing around. I see it coming up here. Then melting. Same thing goes for HFX. You come down here to the last scalper. Same thing applies. Except you just have more arrows. You you have a resistance right here. So you sell at the resistance. You have a support right here. so you can buy at your support. Also, these lines can act as support or resistance. So you place the fill from the body of the candle and not the wick, body to body. Yes. Now, it just depends. You could do it from wick to wick, but if you do it from wick to wick, then you have to account for the lost data. Because all this goes back to really, really deep FRX talk. So all a candle is a visual representation of a person-to-person transaction. All a candle is a visual representation of a person-to-person transaction. And remember what I told you, a wick is basically when you go up, then you come back down, and it closes right there. So that wick is, you know, it's not necessarily any value currently. But if you go from body to body, that is real time data that you can choose from. And typically when you go from body to body, it's more accurate as if you were to go wick to wick. Now, if you want to be more conservative, give yourself a little bit more room, then you could go wick to wick. But if you want to become more precise and get those snipers, body to body. And HFX, boom. You have a resistance, sell. You have a oops, support, buy. In accordance to this too. You can also put this in on MT4. Right here, it's at R6. Everything is overbought. So you can get ready to sell. And it's probably going to sell all the way to P4. You can put that into MT4 and scalp. But last scalper, resistance, support, I wouldn't buy in when it wicked. I would buy in if a candle touched it. So all that candle stuff we was talking about is what you would use for this. Now, I'm going to give you one more example, then I'm going to let you go. Let's say that I have this. Let's say that this happens. This still closed above the line. It will not open below the line just because it wicked there. Because remember, that wick isn't really real-time data. So when this wicks below the line, the next candle won't open below the line. Excuse me, this still applies. So when you see stuff like this, where's my stuff at? When you see stuff like this, when it wicked, the candle's still open below the line. And you can even use that to take a position. Look, I know that, this is going to open below the line, but look where I'm at. I'm overbought, and I'm overbought. So guess what? The likelihood of this candle being red and staying red just went up. Even right here, below the line, guess what? I know that it's been overbought for a minute. It kind of sold off a little bit, but guess what? When it sold off, it hit a support. When it hits support, it bounces back up. It didn't break through the resistance. I know that it's been overbought. So guess what? I would sell. I know DL Woods should be going live. Yep. So I went way over time, but I appreciate y'all that stayed. At this point, I'm gonna do this.